Okay, so today is week 5, Wednesday, for Math 6, Quarter 4. We're going to go over the backside of the ratio and proportions worksheet. I'm going to start off with the very first one right here, number 7. Go ahead and read it, please.
Ash has a 6-inch model of an 18.
I think number 6.
Oh.
Yeah.
Braden and Andrew took the escalator to the 3rd floor. The escalator is 15 meters long, and they rode the escalator for 75 seconds. What is their unit rate?
Okay, so the unit rate is like, essentially what it's asking you is how far did they go with each second. Okay, so it's a division problem. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the length of where they went, which is 75 meters, right? Divided by the time in seconds, 15 meters over 75 seconds, right? So grab your calculator. What is that gonna give you?
15 times 75.
No, 15 divided by 75.
0.2.
So it's gonna be 0.2 meters per second. Okay, another way of doing it, 0.2 meters per second. This is equal to their rate. Do you understand that? Okay. Okay, number 7.
Asher has a 6-inch model of an 18-foot plane. No fair, I want that.
Stop.
What is the scale factor?
Okay, so scale factor, what do you think I have to do with this?
Multiply.
So what are the two things you're going to be using for the scale factor? There are two things.
18 and 6.
Okay, but what does 6 represent?
The inches of model.
Model versus actual, right? Okay, so the model here is going to be 6 inches. The actual is 18 feet, right? No, well, not quite. So if you want the scale factor, what you can do is you could like reduce this, because if I have a 16 or 6 inch over 18 feet, I could reduce it, right? Because they're both even to what? If you divide it by 2 and divide it by 2, what do you get?
Over 6.
No.
6 or 9.
Okay, can I reduce even further?
Yeah.
What would that be?
1 over 3.
1 inch over 3 feet. So this could be your scale factor. So remember, for every 3 feet of the actual airplane, it is equal to 1 inch on the model, okay? Now, so if you do 1 inch over 3 feet, we can also convert it so that everything is in inches, right? This is 3 feet. Now, how many inches equals 1 foot? Think about a ruler. A ruler is typically a foot. How many inches are on a ruler?
1.
How many?
1.
No, look again. 1 inch is not equal to a foot, Grayson. An inch is like the fingertip, like from here to here. Do you see the word? No, like from here to here, that's about an inch. A foot is like from here to here. Do you see this right here? From the wrist to your elbow. How many of your fingers can you put there? It's about 12 inch in a foot. You need to copy this part down, and you also need to memorize this. You definitely need to memorize this. So write this in your notebook. So that way you don't forget it. Why don't you have your stuff ready? So I don't understand. Are you almost done? Grayson. You need to hurry up, please. Okay, 12 inches equals 1 feet, right? If 12 equals 1 feet, then how many inches are in 3 feet?
36.
36 is you multiplied, right? So what you can do is 1 inch. 1 inch of the model equals 36 inch of the actual airplane. So you can say 1 inch on the model equals 36 inch on the actual plane. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what your answer is right here, and then right here. Make sure you write down the things I actually highlighted.
Yeah.
Go ahead, number 8. Oh, you know what? You need to keep working on this. I gotta go pick up. Okay, number 5, go. Or number 8. Quiet. Stop. Maddie, play your piano.
As a man year tree, the recipe that he was working on required 2/3 cup of sugar and 1/4 cup of butter. Brady accidentally put a half cup of butter in the mix. What amount of sugar does Brady need to put into the mix? To have the same ratio of sugar to butter that the original recipe.
What are the 2 things you need? 2 things that's stated here.
The amount of
Yeah.
the amount of butter and sugar.
Sugar. What are the 2 numbers I first give you? 2/3 cup of sugar, so 2/3 cup. And then what's the other one? Cup of butter, right? But then he made a mistake. How much butter did he put? So 1/4 then became half a cup, right? How do you get from 1/4 to 1/2? So you basically double it. You don't divide it by 2. You times by 2. Because 1 times 2 is 2/4, which is half. Do you see that?
Okay.
So you times 2, right?
Yeah.
If you times 2 on the butter, what do you have to do with the sugar? To balance it. If you times 2 on the butter, you also have to do what to the sugar? By 2. Remember, this is a 2/1, right? So it's 4/3 what? Okay, and that's it. So you could put 2/3. Another way that you can do this is by a ratio. This is the first way that you can do it, okay? So we'll just put way number 1, okay? You see that? This is gonna be way number 2. So we could do a proportion like this. Go over there. Quentin, you need to read our book. Go. So what are the 2 things we have? This will be sugar. Okay, tell him he needs to read your book. This is actually the sugar and butter needed, right? This part is going to be the sugar and butter that he did after he made a mistake, right? Yeah. So what you can do is you can put like sugar, this 2/3 equals butter, which is 1/4. He accidentally put 1/2 cup of butter, so you put X right there. Does that make sense? So if you cross multiply this, you'll have 2/3 times 1/2 equals 1/4 times X. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So then what ends up happening here is you will have the 2 and the 2 cancels. So that becomes 1/3, right? Equals 1/4 X, right? To get rid of the 1/4 X, don't you have to multiply by 4? So that part cancels. This part cancels. X equals 4/3. Do you see how it's the same answer though? So 4/3 equals X, or 4/3 cups of Or they're cups of what? Is it sugar or butter? Cups, sugar. Did you copy that down? Did you copy it down? Copy that part down, please. Okay, next question. What number are we at? Okay.
If each of us runs some of the cards, then he gets a restaurant.
Desiree.
Desiree is gonna fight cards from the deck and witness doing one of the cards. It's 25%. It's given 25% deck of cards.
Keep going.
Oh. Which of the two friends got the same number of cards? Jordan and
Desiree.
Desiree.
Okay, stop reading. Okay. Desiree got 5 cards, right? Just by looking at this, which one do you think has the same number? Like the percentage and the quantity are exactly the same. Phoebe's 25%. What's another way of writing 25%? If I change 25% to decimal, what would that be? This is percent. So if I change this to decimal, what would that be? 0.25. Because don't you just move it 2 spaces to the left? Right? What would that look like if I were to put it on a fraction? What would that look like if it was in a fraction? 1/4, right? So 25% is equal to 0.25, which is equal to 1/4. So which two people have the same amount?
Jordan and
yeah, Jordan and Phoebe. Because if Xander has 40 cards, right? He gave 1/4 to Jordan. Well, 40 divided by 4 is what? 40 divided by 4 is what? No, 40 divided by 4. So he gave 1/4 to Jordan. So how many cards did Jordan get? He gave 10 cards to Jordan, right? Because 40 times 1/4 is 10. Now, Xander has 40 cards. He also gave, stop doing that, 25% of Phoebe, right? So 40 times 25%, which is the same thing as 4 times 0.25. Do you agree with that? Which is the same thing as 4 times 1/4. Isn't this exactly the same as that right there? So how many cards did Phoebe get? Which is how many cards of 40? No. How many cards did Jordan get? So you need to make sure you write that down. Okay? 10 cards of Jordan, 10 cards of Phoebe. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Does this make sense?
Okay.
Okay, number 10, go.
Martha was eliminated 17% hit on a $14 bill. She decided that if she had 10%, 5%, and 1%, them in combination to figure out the tip. Which expression would produce the correct quantity?
Okay. I don't understand why it's 10, 5, and 1, because 10 plus 5 plus 1 gives me 16, doesn't it? Doesn't she want 17%? So my first question, you need to ask this question to Mrs. Bruce is, why 10, 5, 1? 10 plus 5 plus 1 equals 16%, not 17%, right? So ask her about that. All right, but that's okay. So, it's $14, right? $14 at 10% is the same thing at 14 times 0.1, because we move this one 2 steps over, it's 0.1, right? So remember the decimal thing that we do? If you move it over to 1 to the right, correct? You have to move this 1 to the left to balance it, right? So 10% of $14 is 1.4. Do you see that? Which one has 1.4? Let's put this, which one doesn't have 1.4? Yeah. So 1.4 equals $14 times 10%, right? So that's your first one. Then your next one, just put 1 there. Number 2, you want 5%, right? So $14 at 5% is the same thing as $14 times 0.05, right? So at 0.05, okay, so 10% is $1.04, right? 0.05 or 5% is gonna be half, right? 5% is half of 10%, correct? So if 10% equals $1.40, what's half of $1.40?
20.
No, half of $1.40. If you took 14 and divided by 2, what do you get?
20.
14 divided by 2.
Oh, 7. I think you said 40.
0.70. Do you see that?
I thought you said 40.
No, I didn't. So I'm not even gonna justify what you just said. So that's the first one. That's the second one. Which one has 0.70 on it?
5%.
So it's either this one, this one, this one, this one, or this one, and that's it, right? Or it's not this one, because that one's 0.7, so that doesn't work. Or 7, right? So it's either A or C. So then let's look for the third clue. I'm gonna put the third clue right over there. Here. Third clue is 1%, right? So we know that 10% of $14, right? So I'm just gonna rewrite this. 10% of $14 was what?
It was 7.
Okay, 5% of $14 was. Okay, what is 1% of $14? What do you think it's gonna be?
27.
No, 1%. 1% doesn't change the 1 and the 4. What does it become? 0.7 is 5%, Grayson.
Oh.
1% of 14. 10% of 14 is 1.40, right?
Yeah.
What do you think 1% of 14 is? Take a look at the answer for A and B. It gives you the answer, doesn't it? So do you think it's gonna be this answer, or do you think it's gonna be this answer? I'm highlighting in green. C. It doesn't make any sense where there's, well, actually, it would be C, but doesn't she need 17%? So if she needs 17%, doesn't it make sense that 17%, if you break it down, is 10% plus 5% plus 1% times 2? Do you see that?
Yeah.
Because wouldn't that make sense? So which one is it going to be? A. So that's how you determine that. Do you see how I broke everything down for you? All right, are we feeling okay about this? You do need to practice this, so I'm going to end this. Is this the last piece of it? Okay, so we'll stop this, and that concludes today's lesson.